All right. What's going on, everybody? We are live again. What's happening? How y'all doing? We're back again. It's Thursday, August 17th, and we're here for the Coffee and Cigars live stream every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, here on the Owner Live channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jay, and I'm glad you're here with us today for another round of Coffee and Cigars. We've got another interesting show for you, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a different setup today. So this past week, I've been doing a lot of live streams on the Ono Coffee channel for the morning brew thing. I do this show called Coffee Q&A, and so I decided let's do some morning brewing. And this is almost the setup that we're using for that. I kind of modified it for this. I'm going to do another one tomorrow, so I thought, you know what, let me just keep this setup. And let me know what you think of it. How does it look? Using a couple of the new pieces, the Sony FX30 cameras, what you're coming at here. Then I've got one of our normal ZV-1s flying above for our overhead camera. Oh, I got to turn that on. But this only lasts about an hour, so it's gonna cut out at some point. How's that look to you guys? Does that look all right? I think we need to go a little bit more boosted. Yeah, that's better. All right, cool. So how y'all doing? What's going on? How have you been? Let me know if there's any questions or thoughts, or what are you smoking? What are you drinking? Where are you? I'm here, and the weather, you know, when I looked at the weather this morning, it says it's gonna be like high like 79. Well, it's been up to 90, so it's pretty hot today. What's going on, Mom? Good to see you. How's everything going up in New York? Yeah, it's pretty hot. It's been pretty hot here. We had one day, actually yesterday wasn't too bad. I went shooting. So this past week, I was, as you know, we went on this trip a few weeks ago to Seven Springs in Pennsylvania to go on a sporting clays trip. And, you know, I've been doing sporting clays off and on for like several years, many years now. But for the longest time, all I've ever had was this combat shotgun. So every time we've done these trips, I've always borrowed someone else's gun because those are more geared towards actual skeet shooting, whereas a combat shotgun is more geared to shooting someone at the door, right? Which isn't really ideal for sporting clays. However, because that's all that I had, that's all I could use. And you know, one of the interesting things about using such a weapon or such a gun for target shooting is that as those little pigeons, those little clay birds are flying away, you really got to get on top of it as fast as possible. And so, you know, I can hit, you know, maybe upwards of 50% of the targets, because after a certain point, they're just kind of, if I let it go too far away, well, I can't hit them anymore because the spread of the shot is too wide. So if you keep it tight, then it's always, you know, much better. What's going on, man? How you doing? Good to see you. Always good to have you here, Mom. Always good. So finally, we were actually went shooting on Friday, and Buddy was like, well, we'll shoot with Buddy and Brian, and Buddy was like, hey, I was just and Buddy's been going crazy too since our trip. He's been like researching and looking at stuff, and he went out and bought one of the Turkish-made guns, real nice, you know, and not terribly expensive. And he was like, I about this, and then he was like, I was at this gun shop and they had this Beretta, and I've always been someone that liked Beretta over under, and he was like, you know, they have a used one there, and I was like, what, used? And it was at a really great price off of like compared to when you buy it brand new. And I talked to the owner of the gun place, and he was like, it's a estate gun. The owner passed away, and we got all of the wife gave all of us, you know, the weapons so we could, you know, dispose of. And he's like, I'm surprised it's been sitting around. I was like, yeah, I'm surprised it's been sitting around too, because it's really a great deal. You know, not quite half, but, you know, 40% off at least. And I was like, oh, that's craziness. So I went back the next day and picked it up, and that was pretty much it. And so we took it out shooting Saturday, went out yesterday, and, you know, trying to get a feel for it. Now it's all about getting a feel for it, you know. So already I bested my score from last week, 13 out of 25 instead of 12 out of 25. I'm not going to the Olympics anytime soon, but it is kind of fun. It is kind of fun. So if you have an interest, and the nice thing about this, you go to this gun club. I guess they're a gun club. It's an outdoor place, big open area, and it's very cigar friendly. Very cigar friendly. So that's always a nice thing. You can shoot. Like yesterday, I shot around, had a cigar. I had the Tatuaje Calabasas, a vintage cigar from like maybe 2016, 2017. Had a cigar, did another round, then went back home and called it a day. So that was a nice thing. But today we're going to be doing some coffee, and we're going to be doing some cigars as always. And let's see what we got here. So we've got our House Nation from Spur Coffee. I got a little bit of a roasting sample here that I pulled out of the roaster the other day. Oh, actually, let me use this one. This is from yesterday, but this is actually roasted 2 days ago. This is probably a little bit too early to roast, right? Let's see if I can get that a little more light there. We're gonna weigh out 24 grams of coffee. 24 grams is what we do. I was hoping that the weather would be a little bit cooler, but alas, it is not so cool. It's kind of hot. All right, we got our 24 grams. We're going to grind that up. And for our brewing today, we're going to use this Quinto brewer. So if you happen to watch today's live stream, this is the same brewer from the live. All right, we're going to brew it into our Yama kettle or Yama pot, whatever you want to call that. And then, of course, we're going to take our Melita number 4 filters, and we're going to fold it because it's conical. We're going to fold it from point to point and create us a little bit of a cone shaped. Add the coffee, give it a little bit of a stir. Okay, our water's all hot. Oh, my timer's missing. Where's my timer? Where's my timer? There it is. Let's zero this out. And should I zoom in more? Let me zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Here's an interesting thing. Like, I'm looking at the screen right now, and as you can see, this scale is on the left side of your frame, and the scale is on the left side of my frame as well, and it's the left side of the physically too. Whereas on this morning's live stream, it was on the right side. I don't know what's going on there. All right, let's start our timer. I'm expecting a good bloom because this is very freshly roasted coffee. So we'll give it about 70 grams, more or less. One of our viewers this morning who was watching, a guy named Dan, was asking about this osmosis type of brewing. And I've not really heard about it, but he was describing it as pouring just down the center. So we're going to try that. We're going to see if we can raise this bed higher by just pouring down the center. That was a pretty hard pour. And I think it was without changing the height or without damaging the dome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the pour to, it's flowing. Here's a problem. So because this is a big orificed filter, it's pouring faster. It's flowing faster than I can pour to sustain. My theory was that I would like to raise this and hold it But in order for me to hold it, I've got to pour pretty heavily, right? So I've got to pour heavy like that. You can kind of see it coming up the sides. So we're 270, 280. We're coming up on 300 grams. We're going to 350, but we're not even at 2 minutes yet. So I'm going to keep doing this. We're going to go 350. Oh, 350. There we go. Now we're only at 205. So this is what we call what I would consider a very fast brew. And as you can see, it's pretty much finished now, more or less. There's a little bit of dripping happening. We're only at 2 minutes, 30 seconds. So, you know, my style of brewing, this would tell me that this is a little bit too fast. So we should get some under extraction. And I would expect that perhaps instead of getting the heavier cacao tones and more body, we're going to get less body, less cacao. We're going to get a little bit more brightness and a little bit more thinness with the cup. There's our brew. We're going to pour that into a cup. Got a little bit of a fancy cup here. One of the nice, you know, china sets that we have for the Café du Spro. Oh, the aroma is pleasant. A little bit of bitterness. Oh, definitely some brightness. The body's not terribly low. It's, you know, pretty solid. But definitely has a bit of, you know, more of a brighter tannic. Actually, I can feel a little bit more in the stomach. A little more brighter, a little more tannic. Definitely acidic. Okay, one of the problems I have got now is I've got a few like flying bugs around that may be being attracted by the studio lighting that we have in here. Normally, I don't leave the door open while we're running. I guess I'm going to have to close the door. Hold on one second. All right, I'm going to close the door just a little bit. Still leaving it open. What's going on, Mad? Good to see you. How's everything going? Yeah, the bug definitely wants a cameo appearance. That's for sure. Hey, Matt, I'm curious to know, where are you from? Let us know. Glad you're joining us again. Always good to see you. And do you have any favorite cigars or coffees? And speaking of cigars, today's cigar, that's a little bit on the brighter, bitter, tannic. Yeah, I don't think I like that brew as much. Anyway, so like I was saying, today's, oh, George is here. What's up, George? Good to see you. Evening all. Summer is over. Back to work Monday. Oh man, I know. My niece and nephew have already started. I guess the preschool, not the preschool, but the pre-start of school, like orientations this week. I'm going through a half day tomorrow to get a head start. Oh man, enjoying a Perdomo Vintage 12 with a martini. Excellent. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear it. All right, and so today's cigar is actually a project by the Sun. So let me rewind this. There's a company called La Flor Dominicana, and that was started by a guy named Litto Gomez, and he's very well respected, very, people love his cigars. It's always very nice cigars. Some of the famous ones he makes are the Chisel and the Double Ligeros that are just like these super pounding, like in your face kind of cigars that are, if you're not careful when you smoke them, you know, you'll probably have the sweats and need to sleep and lie down for a long time. And Brian's with us. What's going on, Brian? Good to have you. Oh, there it is. All right, excellent, excellent. How was the shoot today? Sorry I wasn't able to join you guys. But anyway, so Litto's second oldest, or maybe second youngest son, or yeah, second oldest, is a guy also named Litto. His older son, I think, is Tony. Why they skipped a generation, I don't know, but that's not really here nor there. And this cigar that we're going to have today, the Solis by LFD, was developed and blended by Litto Jr. And so, this is an interesting time to see, like, we've been smoking in cigars for so long now that we're seeing the next generation starting to emerge. And, so what's it going to be like? Will it be like his father? Will he be able to step up into his father's shoes and hopefully surpass him? I'm sure every parent wants their children to surpass them. So will Litto Jr. be able to do that? And, what kind of indication is the Solis giving us for the future of La Flor Dominicana and their cigars? Oh, Inting. Oh my gosh, man. Good to see you. You know how Inting, I was in the Philippines for like 2 weeks back in June. Good to see you, man. To be honest, when you first came on as Mad Mofo, sometimes we get like interlopers that come on and they, make like, ridiculous comments such as, buy X amount of girls and, sexual favors and things like that. So at first, when I saw Mad Mofo the very first time, I was like, uh-oh, is this one of those guys? Do I have to like block this guy? Good thing I did it, but you never said anything like that, so nothing to make me worried about it. But I was kind of like, who is this guy? But good to see you, man. Good to see you. Always good to have you. All right, so let's go to the cigar of the day. One of the things about this space here is that it's got a nice exhaust system, but unfortunately it works really well. So any kind of air conditioning or heating that I do to this room is immediately sucked out of here. So where it was kind of chilly earlier before we started the show, now I'm really just sweating because it's pretty darn hot. All right, so let's go. This is our humidor. Our favorite humidor is still rolling well. And as you can see, we've got some goodies coming up in the future. So this is tonight's cigar, the Solis. We've also got, this is the J. London from Philadelphia, right? This is a local guy in Philadelphia that has made his own series of cigars. This is the J. London Main with connected wrapper, and this is their phone booth in, I think, purple series. This is the West Tampa Tobacco. That's a new one from what do you call it? From West Tampa. I think they're made in the Dominican. This is the Colorado from All Saints, which is Mickey Pegg's place, and he's also based out in Philadelphia. And then we've got a couple Tatuajes here. I don't know if this will make it to the show. This might make it to my smoking session because I don't really have anything else to smoke in here. And then we got this cute one, this Pippa, also from LFD. That is, I don't know, I guess like a pipe. Smoke it like that. But I thought that'd be kind of fun to try. So today we're going to do the Solis, the LFD Solis. What? There it is. Let me just put that away here. Wow, it's really, really, this is not fun now. I think last week I was running the air conditioner from the other room. Well, from right here into the other room. And it was kind of mildly holding up, but now it's like, oof. All right, let's have a look at our score sheet. And we're going to mark our thirds. So typically the third is there. It's probably a long third. Maybe that's not quite even. Okay, we'll just work with it. We'll work with it. All right, so let's have a look at this. It's pretty, it's a pretty decent looking wrapper. Nothing really wrong with it. Nothing. It does feel supple. It has a supple leather kind of feeling. A little bit of a vein right there, but nothing too crazy, I don't think. Kind of barnyard, not really manure, but kind of barnyard-ish. Leather. Nice, very pleasant. Let me score it up a little bit. We're going to have to look here. I'm going to say it's but right there on the wrapper color. Fragrance is there, good. And let's get to our cutting. Good. Maybe I will zoom in a little more on that. Ooh. Baby. What I need to do is place a fan right here. I just try the cold draw. Very easy draw, like almost on the verge of being too easy. When you get those draws that are super loose and you get too much voluminous of air. This is almost to that, but not quite. But nice, a little bit pleasant spiciness, a little bit of black pepper, maybe some nutmeg, clove. All right, let's light it out. Mm. Ooh, that was hot. All right, there we go. That's lit. The draw was a little bit on the looser side, like I said, and that kind of made it a little bit of an odd thing when puffing on it to light it, like you're almost getting too much. Like sometimes, I think that after you become used to smoking cigars, there's a certain rate of resistance that you expect from the rolling of the cigar. And if it doesn't have that much of a resistance, I think you get to the point where you start to almost suck it into your lungs. Worst feelings be hot and smoking, that's for sure. But one of the nice things about this particular position, I'm hoping it will work out, is that the exhaust fan is right here, like right above my head, so that hopefully it should pull pretty well. And George says, LFD is known for their strong blends, but their Cameroon wrapper is excellent. Very approachable. Okay, excellent. Is this Cameroon? Oh, now I lost all of them. I had a whole listing of resources, and I had to restart the machine right before we started the broadcast. Okay, so it looks like based on this half wheel article that I'm kind of gazing through, the this is developed by Litto Gomez Jr. There was another cigar called the Lennox that was released a few years ago in 2015 by Litto Jr.'s older brother Tony. So this is a 6.5 by 50 Toro. And, it's got nice spice. It's got good body. Quite pleasant overall. But it's a big cigar. Definitely a bigger cigar. So this is, according to that, it is a Ecuador Habano wrapper rather than a Cameroon wrapper, with an Ecuador Sumatra binder and Dominican fillers. And the MSRP is $13.20. I don't really know how much I paid for this. I picked this one up. Where did I get this? Oh, I got this during my visit to Capital Cigar 2 weeks ago to hang out with George, and he directed me to try this one. And so far, a really nice construction. Everything feels really nice about the cigar. Do I like the V cut? Interesting. Typically, I'm not really a big V cut fan. Sometimes if I get the V cut, I'll use the V to do the cross cut. So Buddy is really into the V cut. So like I said, we were shooting on last Friday. So we're at the range, and I forgot that actually I have cutters in my truck, and I forgot that I had them in there. And I was like, hey man, can I borrow your cutter? So I used the V cut to cut into this Roma Craft Revenge Avarice, Intemperance Avarice. And I did a regular cutting horizontally across the plane that I'm smoking. And I don't know, but that cigar burned horribly, horribly. Just actually probably the very worst Roma Craft that I've ever smoked. Like it was just burning unevenly and just never could even it out. And I was like, is this because of the V cut? I can't imagine that that's true. I mean, I eventually, cut off the V part and with some scissors, and but it didn't help. So I don't think that's really part of it. But typically, I'm not really big of a V cut, and I maybe I cut the V. I cut that V really deep. Like I cut it really like you could see, like it was like that far down. It was, I think, too much. I'm really more of just a straight cut guy. Maybe that's because that's how I started. But I've tried the V cuts. I've tried. I've cut the the little, like, if you've seen those, like a little big needle, and you kind of poke 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 holes right here on the side of the cap. I've tried that. That's kind of nice. I've done the razor blade to cut the Roma Craft Neanderthal with the flat butt. But overall, I do prefer the straight cut. And Inting says he's never had elephant. No, really. It's an interesting line. Like if you get into the chisel or the double ligeros, beware, because those, like, even for seasoned cigar guys, not to say that you're not seasoned, right? But even for seasoned cigar guys, man, you could be floored by that thing, because that nicotine builds up and you're just like, it's so heavy, and that double ligero is just like pounding you in the face. You're just like, oh my God, man. And then you just like, then you're sweating. Like I'm sweating because it's hot. Like that kind of sweating. You're sweating because like you're ill. Like you're like getting ill, and you're like, I need to sleep. I need to puke. I need to drink more water. I need to do something to end my misery. And that's really where it leads to. So I don't know. Sometimes I think that some of the LFDs have this reputation of just being like massive powerhouses. It's just like, that's not fun. Like, honestly, I don't really smoke a lot of those chisels and stuff like that, because that's just not enjoyable smoking. Like I got to drive home. I don't want to have there be a question like, will I be, physically impaired not to drive home? But I don't know. The other guys will probably have their own opinion about LFD. You know, I smoked something like the Andalusian Bull. That doesn't have that heavy Ligero hit, but just more complexity, but also very expensive and very rare. But otherwise, I haven't really smoked much LFD at all either. Like I met Litto, he's a really great guy. Litto, the senior, the father, really great guy. But I don't really smoke many of their cigars, mainly because I'm just not sure which one is going to, like, you know, make me want to puke. Brian says, Bud and I shot 2 rounds, 5 stand, 1 round wobble, and 1 cigar each. Oh, nice, nice, nice. 2 rounds of 5 stand. I need to try this 5 stand. What I need to do is buy more ammo. That's what I need to worry about. Oh, Rusty's in the house. What's going on, Rusty? Good to see you, man. How's life in Jersey? Everything good? We're having the LFD Solis, which right now is starting off really well. Like, you know, I mentioned to you before that, you know, some of these other ones, double hair, the chisels, are just battering ram powerhouses that are just not necessarily fun to smoke. I'm going to turn this one off. But this one, starting off well, like good complexity, good spice, black pepper, still some cloves, still some nutmeg, still some tobacco, leather. Maybe even like brown bread. And well balanced. Like it's not too heavy, it's not light. Well, one thing that's positive about today's smoking here is that the smoke abatement is very good. By the way, how does the picture look and how does the sound look to you guys? You like it better than the other setup or worse? I'm using a lot different setup today. I'm actually using a lavalier mic on right here that's transmitting to the camera wirelessly, and then that's coming back into the system that way. One of the differences between this setup and the one that I normally use at the desk is that the camera is much farther away than normal for me. Like usually it's within like an arm's reach that I can adjust something if I need to. This one, I can't even get close to it, so. Brian says, where was the earthquake? I missed half the story on NPR. There was an earthquake? Really? Maryland. Evidently, there was no earthquakes of any significance in the last 48 hours. Well, the sound is great. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, this is actually smoking really well. Like now that it's coming into its own. Oh yeah. Well balanced in flavor. Not too heavy, not too light. Good complexity. Not quite that melange of flavors we've had in some of the other cigars over the last couple of weeks. This one has a little more pronunciation of the different flavors, the different nuances, but overall, really nice. Nice delivery. This is one of those cigars, like I feel right now that I need to be careful because I can feel a little bit of heat under this finger. then I need to like not go too fast. Like it's got a good flavor. It's got a good smokability, a good blending. So I kind of feel like I want to smoke it heavier, faster. But now I'm just gonna hopefully ease back and take my time. And I'm gonna see if this air conditioning will help. I'm gonna turn it back on. Can you hear the noise? Like, oh, can you hear the air noise? Like the whole time we've been running, there's been the exhaust fan running. So could you hear that? Now we just turned the AC on. That's kind of loud. I imagine you could probably hear that. But is it too much interference with the sound and your ability to enjoy listening? That helps a little bit, actually. Gosh. It changes, having the AC on changes the trajectory of the smoke. But there is some comfort in the coolness that is coming through. So what are you guys smoking out there? I know that George is smoking, what is he? Oh, the Perdomo Vintage 12-year with a martini. Ryan says, it might have been another country. Missed the beginning of the story. I was looking for a homeless woman that slept to my home for 24 hours. Then she vanished. Drove all over looking for her. Oh, wow. That's crazy. I don't know what it says about our area. But, you know, as I was traveling this past year, going to places like LA, Portland, like there are large homeless enclaves, Hawaii enclaves in those cities because people are just being displaced. But we haven't really seen that here, and I'm wondering what kind of factors are involved with that. Let me clean up my mess here a little bit. Oh, good. Mom's not hearing anything. Excellent. Good to hear that. Great to see that. And picked up a woman bag of food. Oh, that was nice of you. And Brian's having the revenge. I need to get more of those. I haven't had those in a while. This is not a bad substitute for the revenge, but it costs more than the revenge. So those of you who come here and smoke know that whenever I collect ashes and butts, for the last few months, I have been disposing them down the toilet. I'm starting to think maybe that was a bad idea. Like I figured that, you know, once you get past the trap and flushes down, it should be fine. But lately there's been a little bit of stoppage and I'm not really sure why. I've done the pumping. That really hasn't a bit, like it's not overflowing. It's like rising to the rim. You know how that happens? Like your water rises to the rim. You're like, oh, I'm in trouble, or I might be in trouble. And so that's been happening the last few days. So I'm thinking maybe what I need to do is, or maybe, well, I probably need to run a snake through it. And then I also, on the main dishwashing sink, there has been a little bit of backflow as well. And these two systems tie in together somewhere later in the building. So I'm wondering, like, I had to run a snake through it last year. And a lot of that is built up from, some grease that builds up in the system. And, I wonder if that could be part of it. I might have to work on that tomorrow. Brian says they die within 10 years on average. Oh, wow, really? The homeless? That's terrible. And Inting's having the Warmacraft Aquitaine. Excellent, excellent. Are you guys smoking outside or inside today? I surmise that George is outside today. Hey, Inting, we haven't seen you in a while, man. How was your trip? You were on that big, long, like, what was it, month or 3 month excursion to Manila, to the Philippines? This past trip, I finally got out of Manila and away from family, meaning that, like normally if I get out of Manila, I go to the province where my family is. I mean, I did that as well, but this time I was able to go see something else in the country. So I flew down to Dumaguete, and a friend of mine has a resort there. And I was supposed to meet a friend that lives somewhere down there. And I got to this resort, and it's super dope. Like, it's super dope. I was like, I really don't want to share this. So I just kind of like hung out. I called my friend. I was like, hey, something's come up. I can't meet you. Really, I just wanted to hang out at the pool and smoke a cigar. I realized that I didn't want to entertain anyone. And then I went over to Bacolod, got to hang out with some friends there that are in coffee. And then went to Cebu for a day. That was almost a bust, but I did get to try their Cebu lechon, so that was very pleasing. George says, I keep a trash can out on my balcony. It's only for cigars and ashes. I never bring them inside. That's definitely what a lot of people do. I know Bud does that at his place. But I don't know, man. I just want to get rid of it. Like, the times that I've seen the keeping of the ash and butts, and like, honestly, we're at Bud's house, right? And we're dumping them out into his bucket, into his can. Oh, the aroma is just no, man. I can't. I'm so, as much as I may love cigars, I'm so offended by the smell. Like, I can't stand the smoke, so I want to get all the smoke abated, and then the aroma of the used and abused cigar. Oh man, that's not fun. That's not fun. But I hear you. Actually, one of my friends, I went visiting her house several years ago, and she's a big cigarette smoker. And I was like teasing. I was like, what in the world is going on here? Her and her husband like to smoke cigarettes. They got this beautiful view of the city, beautiful view. But man, they keep trash bags, like full, like 30-gallon trash bags. And they got it full with cigarette butts. I was like, when are you going to throw this away? Like, I'm horrified. Actually, the last time I stopped to visit, when I had dinner there the other week, they had got rid of them the last time. So that's good. But, oh, man. But they have a really great balcony overlooking the city. They live in Tokyo. And actually, like right around this time of year, like maybe a week or so ago, very end of July, very beginning of August, they have the big fireworks. I don't know if it's a competition or if it's a display, but they do these massive fireworks. And they've got one of the most brilliant vantage points. You just sit there on their deck, their balcony. It's a wraparound balcony. And you sit there and you could, really what I need to do is go there at the right time of year, sit there and just smoke cigarettes and smoke cigars and watch the fireworks. Oh my gosh, it'd be immaculate. Brian wants to know, George, when are you going to join the Elks? Come join the Elks. It's only $150 a year. You get a deck to smoke on, cheap drinks. Very nice. And Brian says, tomorrow at 1 p.m., I'm being interviewed by Elks Magazine about my cozy corner. All right, maybe that'll show 2020. I hope so, man. I hope so. Have you been able to reach out to local media, like the TV stations, maybe even the Baltimore Banner? Maybe they can come out and do an article, or that'd be a nice human interest story, I think. Local man, tries to provide nice, recreation areas for local school children. That's a great thing. Brian thinks it's too far for you there, George. Laurel? Yeah, that's a bit far. I mean, the distance is why I don't go to the tobacco leaf as often as I would prefer. So we're going through the first third. Oh, we're pretty much done the first third. Okay. Let me turn this camera back on. One of the things about this other camera is that the battery only lasts about an hour. So I need to. Where are you? There we are. Does that look? Okay, that's better. So the cold draw, good. I'm going to say good plus or very good plus. Flavor, I'm going to say very good plus. Very nicely balanced. Oops, sorry. I would say the body's kind of more medium, but also very good plus. I mean, very good plus. I'm really enjoying this. The draw is nice. The flavor is nice. No complaints. But what I say the MSRP was $13. Ooh. $13 is still where, I'm kind of like hesitant to call it a daily smoke, like a regular smoke. Like if this were sub $10, I could see this, doing this more often. It doesn't have quite the punch and the heavy. So the Revenge has a lot of punch, good heavy complexity, heavy body complexity. This is not quite that as far as the punch and the heaviness. So right now I feel a little bit like, as much as I'm enjoying it, there's a little bit that's a little bit maybe bored on the palate. Like it's still very nice. It's still very good. But is there much dynamism that's happening? And I'm not really finding there to be much dynamism. Best of luck with the interview, Brian. I might consider the Elks. We'll see. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. After school starts. Oh, yeah, not too bad. Brian says he was on WBAL last year. I need to send my media letter out. Yeah, send it back. Yeah, definitely. I'm curious to know, like, did that appearance on WBAL, did that result in any kind of public interest as far as people reaching out to you to maybe get involved in some way? Like the smoke production is still very good. Overall, very good. But I'm starting to feel a little bit bored in the patterning of the flavor. Like there is a little bit of brightness now on the tongue. Like this is the point where you want something to happen. Maybe something that takes us a little bit further, take us down a little bit of a different path, So I'm kind of waiting for that to happen, hoping that will happen. All right, the patterning of the smoke is, the air conditioners is blowing it around and just bothering me. I much prefer the smoke to be lifted away by and be gone. I'll suffer a little while in the heat. So what's been going on in your worlds? Like I said, I've been feeling more and more obsessed with this sporting clays thing. So like I said, I got this Beretta, and And Bud was asking me, like, why do you want a Beretta? Why don't you just buy one of these other ones? They're like $750. And certainly that is the way to, that's a great way to go. Right? You get nice quality, guns for shooting at a very good price point. Like I saw one, I was at the Bass Pro Shop yesterday, and I happened to see this Steiger that was for like $450. I was like, oh man, for what I paid, I could have bought easily 3 of those. Right? I was like, oh, that's crazy. So I ended up what's called with the Beretta 686 Silver Pigeon 1. And there are 5 levels of Silver Pigeon. The difference between the 5 levels is mechanically they're all the same, right? Barrel and trigger group and everything about the metal parts are the same. The only difference between the different levels is the quality of the wood used for the stock and the foregrip, and the quality of the engraving, right? So before, when we were talking about this, I said, I'm going to wait till I can get a Beretta. And my thought was, I'm not really the kind of person that buys a lot of guns. I'm not really into it like that. Like, I'm not crazy about buying guns. But I wanted to get something that was a nice specimen, nicely crafted, one that I would use now for the rest of my existence on this planet, right? And this 686 is actually the entry-level over-under sporting clays gun that Beretta makes. Now, there are other ones you can buy, like automatic, semi-automatic ones that are actually quite a lot cheaper, sub $1,000. But that's not what I want. I wanted that break barrel, over-under. I wanted that style, right? That stylishness, right? I was like, to me, there's a style in that. Like, you're walking around with a broken gun, you're like, oh, this is stylish, right? But as I've been watching more YouTube videos about Berettas and other sporting clays guns, I was like, oh, maybe I need to like save for the other one. Like, I'm trying not to fall into psychosis about, like, sometimes when I get into hobbies, I get really deep into it. Like, I'm really into it. I want to get competitive about it, right? Like, when I was doing paintball, like, we got real deep and we're very competitive, and like got to know all the players, and we did tournaments and all kinds of craziness, right? And so, like, I don't really want it to be like that, right? I just want it to be like, hey. But I was sitting around the other day, I was thinking, the U.S. trap, the U.S. trap nationals are happening in October in San Antonio, Texas. My cousin lives in Texas, so I got a place to stay. I was like, maybe I need to go. I was like, oh, no, I gotta calm on that. Brian says that WBAL mostly resulted in ensuring my 2023. Okay, great. That resulted in money. That's always a good thing. And so I've been like spending some of the time too, like trying to understand, like, or to just looking up, like there's this whole culture around, this whole sporting clays thing. Actually, it's like most of the videos that I get to see on YouTube are made by Brits. I don't know what it is. The British really make a lot of videos for some reason about this, and Americans don't really seem to make much videos at all. And these guys are talking about the sporting jacket, right, with the padding, the tweed, the joppers, and the long socks, and the proper ghillie boots. And I was like, do I need that? Will I be the weird guy at the range? And the tweed cap, do I need to buy those things? I think about one of my guests at the Hamden shop. Very successful man. And we would often talk about tailoring because, while I have tailored shirts, he has tailored wardrobe. Like, he goes to Huntsman in London and gets totally kitted out. Like, one day he came in with a nice tweed outfit. I was like, dude, you just look dope in that thing. Like, those are very, they're very like, for most people, that's very much unobtainium kind of stuff. Brian says, I've never watched a video. Maybe, it's just this psychosis. Don't watch the videos. Don't. My advice to you, you're just enjoying it. Don't watch the videos, man. It just brings you down this hole. But I've been trying to so before all this, I've been using a combat shotgun, which is just straight barrel. now that I have chokes in this gun, I've been thinking about chokes. Like, what do I need to know about chokes? I don't think anyone, like I've watched a number of videos online about chokes. I don't think anyone really explains it well enough. I still don't get it. Like, is one brand choke better than the other? Like, I've got ones that are made by Beretta. Do I need other ones? I don't know. These are the things that I've been pondering when I'm sitting all alone in the darkness. Wow, it is hot. Holy smokes. When Steven comes on, I can't complain too much about the heat because he's blazing out there. But here, man, with the studio lights, it's like, so got a little bit more body, a little more heftiness to it. So I'm no longer bored. Like I was for a few moments there, a little bit on the bored side, but now it's all right. Whew. Made some fried chicken for dinner today. Did some brine for a few hours, then coated for a couple more hours with the seasoned flour. Deep fried it. Turned out pretty well. Actually, I fried it. One of the things about my little butane burner is that I'll walk away from it for a few minutes, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I've done this for many years now. Temperature's always rising, so come back. So put it in 360 degrees. Things are going fine. Things are going, go take care of some things. Come back, 429. It's like, oh, all the oil is smoking. And it's like, okay, well, now I've denatured the oil, and now it's in trouble. Kill the heat. Let it cascade back down to 375, just so I can continue cooking. Then I drop in the oven 300 degrees for another like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, just to make sure it's cooked all the way through. Because by that point in the oil, it's already cooked a good 12, 13 minutes, which is good for white meat. Not so, you want 22 for, you want somewhere around 22 to 25 for dark meat. So I finished that on the oven. Turned out beautiful, nice and juicy on the inside still. I don't think Steve has arrived yet. He has not announced his arrival. Normally he does, so. We are not yet to the finish of our second third. Man, but I'm going to turn this AC back on because, wow. One thing about these hot weather days, man, you just got to shower every day. Like, there's just no way around it. Oh, Tony's joining us. What's going on, Tony? How are you, man? Good to see you. Welcome. We are smoking the LFD Solis, made by Litto Gomez's youngest son, or second oldest son, Litto Jr. And it's a nice effort, very good effort. Good complexity, good balance. So here's what happens when I put the AC on. It kind of circulates the air and blows it in my face instead of just kind of cascading up to the exhaust. But the temperature is cooler. Tony's having the Oliva 135th. Oh, wow. And a Diet Cherry Pepsi. Nice. Nice. Excellent. How's that Oliva? I don't think I've had that Oliva 135. I'm running things today off the laptop, which gets a little bit wonky at times. The strange thing is that this laptop is a 2015 MacBook Pro. When I'm traveling, I'm always carrying my 2013 MacBook Air, which is, the lesser of the two machines. But that one seems, for live streaming, to perform better than this one. I don't know what it is about this one that's like that, but let me just get some things ready here. L. So we got some more cigars coming up over the next few weeks. Steve's here. Excellent. How are you, man? Good to see you. How are things in Phoenix? We 105 today, or a bit higher or lower? And Tony says, I think you did a show on it. I think you're probably right. Tapers at the foot. Let me go look at that. Let me see if we do have that here. It sounded familiar, but I can't really recall. Not in 2023. Oh, you're right. We did do it. Let me pull it up here. I'll share it with you. There we go. Here it is. The 9th cigar of the year for 2022 at 84 points. Nice. We did that quite a while back in December, at the end of the year. Episode number 125. All right, not bad, not bad. All right. So what's been happening in your world? Anything interesting? My YouTube feed shows me a lot of these commentators talking about the whole indictment thing for Trump. I don't know what's going to happen, but the guy's got a lot of indictments. I don't know what that means. Does that mean we're going to put him in jail? If they put him in jail, does that mean that his followers are going to liberate him from jail? That would be quite an interesting turn of events. And how was golf today? George, how was golf? Good or bad, or just good to be out there, probably? So I was scheduled next week to fly down to Quito in Ecuador to do a couple competitions for about a week or 10 days or something like that. The organizers called me back. They called me up yesterday and they're like, hey, would you be okay if we rescheduled maybe to November or some other time? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, whatever's going on. And I don't know if you've heard about this, but they have a presidential election happening this coming in 3 days on Sunday. And one of the leading candidates was gunned down, like in the middle of this event. They just came in, hailstorm of bullets, and just killed the guy. So the government has placed a 60-day moratorium on all events within the country because of civil unrest. So they were like, we need to reschedule. I was like, yeah, I guess that's a good idea. So I will not be away the next few weeks. We're going to be heading down to Ecuador, probably in October. If not October, then maybe by January. George says he shot 44 in the front 9. Oh, nice. 8 for par for me, very 6-0. That's a very good number. Very good number. Yeah, I guess if you're driving up the Pine Ridge to play golf, that's a short drive over to the Elks afterwards for a cigar. Not a bad way to go. Not too far. Let's see how our coffee's doing. This is our House Nation coffee. Brewed a little bit wonky. Actually, yeah, the brew is not very nice. I'm going to have to remember on tomorrow's live stream. I've been doing a live stream for pretty much 4 days this week on the Ono Coffee, on the main channel, on Ono Coffee, about, practical brewing. It usually starts it starts at 10 a.m. And one of the guys on there, Dan, he was asking me today about this osmosis style brewing. And now that I've tried it, I think that the single hole, orifice brewers like this one are not the ideal brewer to use for that technique. Just too much flow, so you don't really get good extraction out of it. That can be compensated by going a lot finer on your grind, but I don't know. Then we'll try more with it. Gotta play more with it. And time to find a sponsor. There you go, man. Time to get on the PGA Tour. Like, I'm fairly decent at golf. Like, decent. Maybe a couple strokes worse than you are, George. So I think I'm better at the short game than the long game. Like, the long game, not very good. Like, I don't even know if I can really get on the green even at the par 3. Well, I mean, I do, but it's like, I never am sure, right? My cousin, however, man, he crushes it. His long game is great. Like, he can crush that ball, 300 yards. You're like, whoa, dude. Even still today, I was like, whoa. And that's really what he likes to go to the range and just crush the balls. Like, that's his form of aggression release, right? Just crushing the balls. His short game, terrible. Just terrible. So those guys that have it all, man, formidable. Oh, thanks, man. I'm glad you're liking that. That way, I'm thinking that we'll do to be honest with you, I got the idea from I'll do live streams on that main channel, every once in a while. But I was talking to Hoon of Hoon's Coffee, and Hoon does lots of live streams. Like, he does maybe 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 live streams a day. Like, he just kind of goes live whenever it feels like it. It feels like it goes at least twice a day. And his are usually fairly short, 15 to 20 minutes. My lives usually last about 35 to an hour. But I was thinking, maybe I should do more live streams to build more engagement with the audience. And it's so far this past week, I'm surprised. I'm fairly pleased with the way it's turned out so far. Rusty says, I like that you did the Melita pour over. One of my first pour. Yeah. And I think that, as I was, I had planned to do that yesterday. So on Wednesday, which is the day that I took off, because Wednesday morning I took my nieces to, or yesterday morning I took my nieces to, oh no, that was Tuesday. Yeah. So Monday morning or Monday night, Monday evening, Monday afternoon, I was watching Hoon's live stream. And one of the guys there were talking about, nobody gives love to the OG Melita. And I was like, well, tomorrow will be the day. But I do think that, I like to look at some of these things. And when we're talking about here, we're talking about these Melita. This is the Melita cone. And it's super cheap. It is, I don't know, $4 at the grocery store. You can buy these anywhere. These are grocery store things, and they're plastic. But I thought it worked fine, perfectly fine. You don't need to buy these fancy ones for $40. $40 for this one. I think about 40 for this, 60 for this one. You know, you could spend that kind of, but you don't have to. The brewer I'm using tomorrow is one I picked up from Daiso, which is the 100 yen store. This one, this is all stainless steel. It has, you know, stainless filters built into it. So you can use a filter. You don't have to use a filter. And this is $6. So we're going to give this a try tomorrow morning and see how that goes. And Steve, how's the temperature out there? Brian wants to know. I want to know too. Yeah, the temperature's better, but the smoke is just all in my face. Turn that off now. Oh, now there's a hornet in here. A wasp. How can I kill you? I think a lot of the heat that's coming in is because the way the whole building is built and the way that the fan is pulling pressure in, a lot of it comes from the garage area, the roasting area, which is basically a garage. So it's got this big slab of concrete that in the summertime, it's blazing in there. It's blazing in there. We were smoking outside one day, a couple weeks ago. Super pleasant, maybe low 70s, really nice. Across the threshold of the garage door into the concrete area, 20-degree jump. It was just, and that's the thing about these garage. Like my garage at home is like this. You know, you get blazing hot in the summer, cold all winter. You're like, ah. When eventually we get to the point we're going to build a new facility, if we have concrete slab, I'm putting radiant heat in the slab because this is just not radiant heat and radiant cooling. That will be the key. Steve says it's 110. Holy smokes. But every day varies on monsoon activity, but still, this is worse than last week. Last week you were 105. This week 110. Holy moly. That's just crazy. But I guess it's better than the 117 you had about a month ago. Yeah, I do like the way this extract's sitting here. Just goes up. Sometimes I'll sit in here, watch movies, but the lights are dim for the movies, so I don't get the bugs. The lights are all on now, so there's quite a few bugs in here. And he says, Steve says it rained a couple times this week. Wow. And George is asking, okay, it's episode 155. When are we getting together for the 150th? Oh, that's a good question. We really need to put that together. We do need to put that together. I'm planning to do an event with George down at Capital Cigar. I don't know if that might be the right time to do it, or if you want to come back here to the roastery, we can do it here. But I'm game. I'm game. It's been hot. It's been hot. Like we went down to Capital Cigar for their 1-year anniversary last Saturday, like I mentioned on the show last week. You know, it's nice inside, right? Nice air conditioning. But we sat outside, and they have this long, like thin patio, narrow patio that's surrounded on walls by 3 sides. We were closest to the building, like the deepest in. Man, it was just hot. I was just sweating. Just my hair was soaked. Like right now, it's pretty soaked. But then it was just all for like hours. But it was a nice event. They had some Cuban food. Stephanie, one of the girls I know from hanging out at Tobacco Leaf, she lives in Bethesda, and she lives right down the street. So she's took a part-time job there on the weekend. So it's great to see her. So I thought it was a nice time. It's nice to get out with the guys, different environment. Also, nice to get out, like that's one thing now that our main shop, the Faders of Towson, has been long closed. One of the things that I do miss about having a shop to go to is interacting with a wider range of people. Seeing girls. Like when you're all alone smoking with your buddies, you don't really see girls, At least in Towson, there's women walking by. You're like, okay, maybe they'll stop in. Maybe we get to talk to them. There's a chance of that happening. When you're at someone's house, that chance is much lower, right? Can't get run over the train if you don't lie on the train tracks. Tony says 1/60th for the win. Oh, okay, we can do that. And Tony says it was a great event. Yeah, it was very nice. Very nice time down there. I got to smoke another one of those Meerfeld Mares. Still not a disappointing cigar. Beautiful. I smoked the Mare, and then I smoked something else, which I can't remember at the moment. I'd have to look at my notes. Which I don't know if you guys do this, but I do this. And I try to be fairly religious about it. I just take a notepad in the phone and I just write down the number and then the name of the cigar, just so that I have a reference point of what I've smoked so far. Now I'm a few cigars behind, like I didn't write down yesterday and the day before's. So we're about 185 cigars. This is 186. But that one, no, this is probably 188 because I haven't written down anything. I don't have the cigar from the Capital Cigar outing. I have to write that down. I have to find the bands. Yes, there it is. The Flor de las Antillas. That's the, because it was a My Father event. Tom from My Father Cigar was there, the rep, and so we were hanging out. And I thought, let me try one of these. I asked George, hey, and Tom was, what cigar should I try, man? What's really one that's going to stand out? And it was really great. It was actually really great. It was a good follow-up to the Mare. Then I see what the Mare is that it's. Like sometimes you get some of these cigars that we're doing, like, and I think this is true of some of the Roma crafts too, is that you'll smoke a cigar that's kind of heavy, and you want to, if you follow up with a light cigar, you just lose it, right? It's almost like you wasted your time because your palate's already adjusted to this heavier flavor from the first cigar, that it's just not as, the second cigar just doesn't really register. The nice thing about the Mare is that it's very balanced. But it's lighter in tone. So even the Antilles, like I wouldn't say that's a heavy cigar. Like I don't think that was a heavy cigar, but my palate was still well adjusted for this cigar. So like if I'd gone the other way, like let's say if I'd done like maybe the Kohonu 2003 or the Revenge, that might have been too strong for the Antilles to stand up to. So we're getting a little bit of a separation now with the wrapper. Let me turn this one back on because it's time. I know we're definitely past the point of the second third. Let's have a look. Oh, sorry, it's all shaky. Yeah, we're definitely past that. So I'm going to say it's been relatively static, so I'm still holding a very good plus on both. Still very good. Still very good. Oh, man. It's really hot. Back to VC. Do you hear this ruffling when I scratch or adjust my shirt? My apologies if it makes too much noise. Rusty says, I wonder if Barry at Widmer's Tobacco Shop is doing the chili competition in the fall. That was a fun time. Yeah, that was a fun time. And not too far. If he does it and the dates work out, I'll definitely come back up for that. That was a good time. One of my former employees and old GM, Sarah, after she left Spro, she went to start her own business, a place called Vent Coffee. And she's having her 5th anniversary party next Saturday, the 26th, at the Union Collective. So if you have time, you want to come by, I'll be there from 12 p.m. onwards. We're doing she's asked me to participate in a cold brew throwdown or cold brew competition where I'm sure there's going to be a number of other local coffee places. Everyone's going to bring their own cold brew. We're going to give out little samples to everybody, and then everybody gets to vote for their favorite. So it should be a nice time. So come down if you have the chance. That'll be from 12 to 2. And then there's going to be a latte art throwdown, which they've asked me to be one of the judges. That'll be from 5 to 7, which means that I'll be there the entire day. Matt came by today because he's also, being part of the cold brew thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, I got to be there till 7. Like, oh, no. But the nice thing about having it at the Union Collective, there's a whole bunch of stuff to see there. There's a wine place there. There's a whiskey distillery. There's, of course, the Union Brewery that's there as well. The Charmery has their factory there, so there'll be ice cream. You can buy ice cream while you're there. So there should be quite a few things to see and do down there. So if you decide you want to come down next Saturday, come on down. Be nice to hang out. But like I was saying, there's a little bit of wrapper separation here that's happening. I don't know how we would attribute that. I mean, it has been fairly humid. I've had the cigar in the humidor the whole time, so maybe just the wrapper is a little bit delicate, maybe. Where's the Union Shop? The Union Shop is down on 41st Street. So I don't know if you recall, but at one point in time, for many, many years, it was the Sears and Roebuck Distribution Center. So basically, it is the complex that is immediately north of the 41st Street Bridge that crosses the Jones Falls Expressway. So it's on the Hamden side of the bridge down below. Oh, Brian says, I'll be flying back. Oh, on Saturday. Okay. When are you heading down there? Oh, you're heading there, what, on Saturday? And Steve, aren't you supposed to be like in Seattle this week or something? I need some water. Saturday to Saturday. Excellent. That'll be a nice time. What are your guys' favorite cigar shops in Phoenix? I'm curious to know. If you have the time to drive down to Tucson, maybe you should go and crash Poon's place. I think it's, a couple hours away? Not that you don't have time to get away, but if you do, that might be kind of fun thing to do. I think I prefer the winter time doing the show rather than the summer. Winter, we can always crank up the heat. Summertime, man, it just difficult. The way that the way the layout here turned out has not been conducive. Like, I don't know if it's because the AC blows the smoke in my face or just that proximity again, but this cigar is heavy enough that now that we're here, I get the smoke in the nostrils, which, gives me that kind of gag effect. And Brian says the cigar shop he likes to go to is a place called Ambassador Cigar because it's a few minutes from where, oh, okay, great. And George says, I watch Cigars Daily weekly live show from Phoenix. Oh, I haven't seen that. When do they normally have that on? I'll have to go check that out. Oh, uh-oh. That's better. It feels heavier. Maybe that's, again, the proximity of the smoke, of the burning end of the cigar to my nose. One of my buddies from Korea was been messing with him. He runs a coffee company called Immunica, and he was like, "Hey man, I might be trying to come out to New York next month." I was like, "Oh man," he's like, "Man, but the prices of hotels are ridiculous." I was like, "Oh yeah, man." So I even looked because I find that hotels in New York City are exorbitantly priced. Like I found one place for the time period, kind of middle of September, Manhattan, $153 a night. Fairly decently situated, but not, nice, but not, it's nice, but it's not nice, right? And then everything else for that price range was out in New Jersey, kind of far away, not close to any New Jersey transit stations. So it's like you have to drive and then you have to commute. So that, like Brian usually told me this place, the Hyatt, that's right in Jersey City, right across from Manhattan. There's a New Jersey transit stop right there. Go downstairs, jump on the train, easy, 15 minutes into the city. So that's not bad. But if you're staying out in Secaucus, in the Netherlands, further away, that's just not fun. That's not fun. And you don't start to get Manhattan hotels, like decent Manhattan hotels, until you get to the $350 and up range. And it's like, gosh, man, so ridiculously expensive there. Like you compare that to the place that I stay in Tokyo. Like the last place I stayed for the last 2 trips I've done, this place called the Sotetsu Fresa Inn, which is in the district of Ginza. And Ginza is like the super fancy place. It's like the Beverly Hills of Tokyo, right? That hotel room, this trip cost me more than my last trip. Like a good percentage more. But that good percentage more was still only $85 a night. Normally I'll get hotel rooms in that general vicinity, Ginza, Shimbashi, which is the neighborhood next to it. Sometimes down to $65 a night. Clean, modern, small rooms for sure. But I'm just looking for a place to crash and to leave my bags and be safe. And that's the thing. It's like you go to places like New York and London and people are like, oh man. And I'm just like, wow, man, it's so expensive. Like when I go to New York, usually for some of the events that I'll go there for, I'm lucky enough that I have a friend that lets me crash at his place in Chelsea. It's just a, pull out couch bed, but perfectly fine. Centrally located. God, I love the location. That's for me in New York, actually, like to wake up in Manhattan for me is like that's awesome. Like that's what I like. That's what I like. I don't want to have to commute. I don't want to drive in or like take the train in from Brooklyn or New Jersey. I just like to wake up in Manhattan. I'm like, I'm here. I'm ready to do my thing. So George says that the Cigars Daily Weekly Live show from Phoenix is at Mondays at 9. Well, I remember that. And then Steve's leaving Saturday morning, the 26th, for greener pastures. Oh, so you're leaving on the 26th. Okay, gotcha. And then Steven says, Embargo, Cigar Inn, Ambassadors, Fine Ash, Churchill's, and Total Wine because they're open late. Oh, nice. Does Total Wine have a lounge as well, or just cigars to buy? Like the one here in Baltimore, they just have cigars. There's no lounge. That would be kind of fun to have a lounge at Total Wine. You can buy your champagne, bottle of Cristal, Dom, smoke your cigar. Not a bad way to go. Sometimes you go out, you get lucky. Like I always remember I was in New York City one year for the Star Chefs Congress. And, I would go back to Manhattan. So the Star Chefs being held, back then it was being held at the Armory on 65th Street on the east side. So I would just truck over to the old Cigar Inn, which is now the Casa de Monte Cristo on 51st Street and 1st. Or is it 2nd? One of those two. And, I remember when I was there one year, it was a Monday night. And it was a Raven, it's in the fall, October, Ravens game. So I'm like, I'm going to truck over to a Cigar Inn, have a cigar, watch the game. Turns out that night we're playing the New York Jets. And the entire place is filled with Jets fans. I didn't bring my jersey that trip because I was like, I got a lot of stuff to do. But I got there and it's all like Jets fans. I was like, oh. And we're spanking them. Like we're spanking. Those guys were so dejected. They were like so bummed out. I was like, oh man. Actually, this one guy was drinking wine. I was like, oh man, nice bottle of wine he's got going on there. He was like, I've had enough. I'm leaving. You can have the rest. And I was like, oh, well, thanks, man. So it was a bottle of like 1970s era Petrus. And I was like, oh, and like half a bottle left. I was like, oh my gosh. So I had I had a glass there. I was like, oh, this is some beautiful wine. Called a friend of mine that owns a company called Poly Science. I was like, hey, let's have a drink together. I brought the wine over to the hotel. We're like, so sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you get lucky in those situations. think we're back now, right? Okay, my apologies on that. We had a little bit of an issue with the camera. So I'm running the camera, the one that you're seeing me right now through, on its internal battery. And internal battery has died. I didn't really know how long the internal battery runs. I'm still trying to figure out all the details in it. So I plugged it into the wall, and hopefully that'll hold on. I mean, the battery's fully depleted, so hopefully it'll have enough to continue. We'll see if it blacks out again, but if it's down again, I'll... All right, how about that? All right, there we go. A little bit different of a run. I have to, the other camera is completely dead, so it's not enough charge for me to plug the battery, to plug the cord into the wall and for it to hold. So I grabbed the other camera. That was the overhead camera, and now I dropped it on here. And let me just change one more thing. Okay, how's that? Is that better? Oh, I'm shaking. Where's the Energizer battery? Yes, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So, so like I said, the other camera's battery is totally dead. So it doesn't last 2 hours. Um, okay, that's a little bit better. How's the sound? Is it too high? Is it too high? I didn't really adjust the sound parameters on the camera because, whew. But here we are. We're rolling along, still smoking. Brian has given up and is going to bed. All right, Brian, have a great one. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Now I know I'm going to have to work on feeding the main camera, the bigger camera, power from the plug, I got a bigger battery for it, an external battery. That turns out that it doesn't last as long as I was hoping. So I'll probably, the next battery I get, I'll have to get a larger size battery with more power. Looks like this cigar has gone out. Let us restart this thing again. Oh, gosh. There's always something. Oh, that sounds like Muddy driving by. All right, we're back again. Whew. So on the other setup, the other setup is actually plugged into the wall. So that's why we haven't run out of juice on that one. This one I'll have to work more on and figure out a better way to operate with it. Oh man, it's hot again. So this cigar now, we did relight it. It's slightly harsher now. Not terribly so, but just a little bit. We're coming down to the end. Okay, there we go. There we go. I think we're good. Yeah, that's not, that relight has kind of brought it down a bit. But I think that relight really happened because, I had to go and address the technical issues. So I really won't count that against it. I'm going to hope that by the time we get maybe halfway to the end, it will smooth it down again. So what do you guys got going on this weekend? Anything interesting? I don't think I have anything planned. My nieces are away in Chicago. They wanted to go visit their aunt. So that's why I drove them down to the airport on Wednesday. I think they come back next Wednesday. Actually, I don't know when they come back. I better message them to see what they're doing. A little bit harsh, a little bit on the harsh side. Heavier, a little more throatiness here. Ooh, this heat. All right, I'm going to put this down now. Had enough of that. Let's look at our scoring here. I'm going to say we're going to give it 8.25. Body, I'm going to say still the same at 8.5 for the last time. Burn and draw have been very good. I'm going to say 8.75. Consistency, 8.5. Overall, 8.5. Let's do some calculations. $8.5 plus 17 plus 17 plus 8.5 plus 8.25. Darn it, made a mistake. 8.5 plus 17 plus 17 plus 8.25 plus 8.5 plus 8.25. Oh, 0.5. 8.5. Which gives us a score of 85. So there's our scoring here. 8.5s, a lot of 8.5s, so very good plus. So I think that's a very good score. Let's see how it looks with the in the general standings. Whoops. So 85 for the LFD Solis gives us the 13th cigar of the year, or actually it's probably the 12th, because we do have these two here that are tied. Oh, and so actually we have two positions that are tied. So this is actually the 11th cigar of the season. So good showing, I think. Really good showing. 85 points on that. So there it is. Got a little bit of technical difficulties here at the end. Sorry about that. And back again next Thursday, 8 p.m. with another cigar. I don't know what cigar we're going to use yet. I got to go dig into the humidor and see what we're going to put in the next week. We'll have that for next week. We're back. We're not going to be traveling anytime soon, so should all be good. And if you have the time, keep in mind for next Saturday, come down to the Union Collective and let's have some coffee. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you spending another Thursday night here with me. As always, really appreciate that. And yeah, hope you have a good week and a good weekend. And see you guys next time.